Well, yeah, the absolute state of things, really. And yeah, we'll start with this from Toria Brook. Breaking news from, I believe, a day or so ago. 4 days ago now. The independence referendum has cleared the courts. Alberta will vote to leave Canada in October 2026. Now, lest you think this is bullshit, I went and checked to make sure. This is a search results from Brave's Leo AI. A significant legal development. I appear to be live. Am I dropping? I am not. Okay, just 1 second. Let me refresh my Rumble browser. Looks good. Okay. Pop out the chat. And poke that over there. That comes back over here. Okay. So, a significant legal development has occurred regarding the proposed Alberta independence referendum for 2026, with the I'm used to saying Court of Queen's Bench, Court of King's Bench, judge ruling that the initial citizen-led referendum question would be unconstitutional. The judge, Colin Feasby, determined that the proposed question, "Do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province in Canada?" contravenes the Constitution Act. However, this ruling is now considered irrelevant due to the Alberta government's passage of Bill 14, which amended the Citizen Initiative Act to allow for a referendum on independence, effectively removing the court's jurisdiction over the matter. That alone is a big deal. That is a province telling the federal government, fuck off, we're going to make our own decisions. Something that, since Trudeau at least, has been a problem here in Canada, with the federal government taking over more and more of what should be provincial power. As of December 12th, that will be tomorrow, the Alberta Prosperity Project is preparing to refile its petition and begin signature collection in January 2026, aiming for a referendum as early as October. Legal ruling on the referendum question on the 5th of December, Court of King's Bench Justice Colin Feasby ruled that the proposed referendum question submitted by Mitch Silvestri of the Alberta Prosperity Project contravenes the Constitution Act, making it unconstitutional. The judge emphasized that this decision was made after several days of arguments, including those from First Nations interveners. You get even less of a say than the feds at this point. And noted that the court's role in such matters is essential to prevent the silencing of constitutional concerns. I will point out, the reason I say that about the First Nations is this. A, they made those treaties with a country that was not Canada. B, if they really wanted say over the affairs of the country, they should be citizens, not what amounts to glorified wards of the state. If you don't want the responsibilities, you don't get the rights. If you don't take an equal share in, the concerns of your fellow Canadians, I can't even say fellow citizens, I don't view First Nations, if they're given status cards, as full citizens. When you don't have to depend on the government for it. This is the point. When you force the government to essentially treat you like wards of the state, provide your housing, provide your food, provide your every necessity, really, then yeah, it's a bad system and you should get out of it. Government action in Bill 14. The Alberta government introduced Bill 14, amended the Citizen Initiative Act to allow for a referendum on independence just one day before the judge's ruling. It's almost like they knew what was coming. This legislation effectively ended the court proceeding, rendering the judge's decision on the specific wording moot, as the government now has the authority to proceed with a referendum on the question. The Alberta Prosperity Project has welcomed this change, stating they are thrilled, that's a quote, and grateful to Premier Daniel Smith for enabling the process. Timeline and signature collection. With Bill 14 in place, the Alberta Prosperity Project, that I'm going to start calling the APP moving forward, plans to launch its signature collection campaign in January, aiming to gather the required 177,000 signatures to trigger a referendum. Excuse me. The group has already secured over 200,000 pledges, indicating strong public interest. If successful, the referendum could be held as early as October 2026, aligning with Premier Smith's promise to hold a referendum in 2026 if the petition threshold is met. Government's stance in Alberta next panel. Premier Smith has stated that her government will not place a separation question on the 2026 ballot unless a citizen-led petition successfully gathers the required signatures. The government is also conducting the Alberta Next panel process, which will inform potential referendum questions on sovereignty and constitutional rights within a united Canada. The panel's findings will be used to shape proposals for the 2026 vote, though Smith has reiterated her commitment to upholding First Nations rights and treaties. So she's still committing to continuing keeping them as non-citizens. Not the right move in my view, but hey there. Opposition and security concerns. The debate has drawn criticism from various quarters. Former Deputy Premier Thomas Lukashuk called the government's actions unconstitutional and unethical, both words quotes, particularly regarding the anti-separatist petition that has already been verified by Elections Alberta. Additionally, CSIS has expressed concern about potential foreign interference in provincial referendums, noting the sovereignty debates in Alberta and Quebec are under scrutiny. Why is it under scrutiny in Quebec now when it wasn't before? Curious. Okay. Judge rules. Proposed separation. Citizens Initiative petition received. Verification. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. We'll have a quick look at this one from the CBC here. Premier Smith says anyone seeking an independence referendum should not have gatekeepers like the courts standing in their way. This is true. The courts are a legal entity which really should have no impact on the political process. It's my opinion, anyway. That's the way it should be here in Canada. The way the U.S. does things is the way the U.S. does things and not the way we do things. Smith was asked about the independence question Saturday on her radio call-in show, weighing in for the first time after her government proposed legislation that would halt an ongoing court case. Okay, so we can shut that down here, and I'll just give you guys my thoughts. It's a good thing to see at least one of the provinces in this country is looking at the feds and going, look, you need to back the fuck off. Because for over a decade now, the federal government, personified by the Prime Minister, has been slowly and not very covertly garnering more and more control over programs and aspects of governance that really should be the domain of the provinces. One of my favorite things to bang on about is the gun control debate. There is no reason in a fair and just system that people in Toronto should be able to vote to tell someone in the Yukon or Labrador whether or not they're allowed to take a rifle openly into the woods or a handgun. Yes, we understand Toronto has a lot of handgun crime. I'm sure there's not a lot of rifle crime in Toronto in proportion. And yes, it's a problem. And yes, you should definitely do something about it. But the solution you choose should not make the rest of us more vulnerable. In fact, any solution you choose should not make citizens of any region more vulnerable. But the handgun ban, which, I'm sorry, Trudeau obviously brought in as an attempt to further a tyrannical agenda. I mean, there's never been a democracy that has lost its guns and gained more freedom. Look at the UK and Australia. In the UK, you can be arrested for, well, I think this fellow's in the UK. No, sorry, this man is in Switzerland. But we'll come back to that then. But in the UK, you can be jailed for praying silently outside of an abortion clinic. That's right. If you stand in a way that makes a police officer think maybe you're praying and you're standing too close to an abortion clinic, yeah, You can be arrested. That's insane. If you, you know, if you choose to damage the holy book of a religion that isn't yours, sorry, let's be real. If it's not the Bible, you can be jailed in Britain and in a lot of other countries. There are things I can't say because I live in Canada that were I in the US, I could say because of hate speech laws. There's no such thing as hate speech. You're either being hateful with your speech or you're not. And I'm sorry, that's an interpretation. I can say The Last Jedi by Rian Johnson is an objectively good movie. Sorry. But you get my point. I can say that and be wrong and absolutely hateful in saying it. For the record, I hate The Last Jedi. I think it's... Anyway, who won't fall into that trap? But the point is that I don't have freedom of speech in this country. Partly because we don't have freedom to arm ourselves. As a matter of fact, we don't even have the freedom to defend ourselves preemptively in this country. I'll show you. This knife is... And yes, I have done this demonstration, or demonstrations like it many times. This knife is roughly 6 inches long when it's open. The blade is a little over 2.5 inches. We'll call it 2.5. Now, this is what I put in my pocket just to have if I need to open a package, open, say, a piece of mail. If I were to purchase a piece of fruit and I wanted to peel it, I would resort to that knife. Sorry, just putting it back in my pocket. And because I'm using a pocket clip, it can't be considered a concealed weapon because you can see it. So, avoiding legality there as well. But the big problem with it is that if I were to say, if a police officer were to approach me and ask me the purpose I was carrying it, and I were to say, well, just in case I need to defend myself. Now, I may be thinking, there's always a possibility that I might be in the woods, and a rabid fox may approach me. There is a even less likely, but potential possibility that I could be attacked by a predator like a lynx. It's unlikely, but it's possible. It's possible that I could be walking down the street and be attacked by someone's dog. And need to... I probably would avoid it, but need to defend myself with the knife. But to tell a police officer that I'm planning to defend myself is enough for him to assume he means to stab a human with it. Which isn't necessarily what I mean at all, but the likelihood that a police officer would ask a clarifying question rather than charge me with, for example, carrying a weapon dangerous to the public, or carrying a weapon for a purpose dangerous to the public, yeah, it's a possibility. And again, I'll grant, it's an outside possibility, but it remains a possibility. And it shouldn't be. There is no reason I shouldn't be able to walk down the middle of a road with a katana strapped to my back. Well, okay, not the middle of the road, but there's no reason I shouldn't be able to walk through the middle of town with a katana on my back. I should hope I would never need to, but yeah. So let's talk about this fellow in Switzerland. A man was put in prison today after he said on social media that men and women have different skeletons. Yeah, I'm not making this up. And this isn't my original image, for the record. This is the original image. Europe is going through not just a free speech crisis, but a fact-based reality crisis. This is absolutely fucking insane. And I will point out that Switzerland has, I believe, more firearms per capita than the US. That's per person, though I may have that wrong. Or it may simply have changed since the last time I looked at the statistic. But a Swiss man was jailed after saying women and men have different skeletons. A biological fact. It's because he was having an argument with a trans person. Emmanuel, let me just blow this up a little bit. Oop, the other way. Okay. Brune Scholl. Emmanuel Brunschol convicted over Facebook post suggesting trans people were mentally ill. Now, which is it? Did he say they were mentally ill, or did he say they had different skeletons? Yeah. So that's the serious stuff out of the way. Well, semi-serious. Because now we're going to talk about this. Specifically, this. Truth, justice, whatever. So James Gunn continues his desecration of the Superman mythos by turning Supergirl into... Well, we'll watch the trailer. And you guys can judge for yourselves. Yeah, so she's a boozer. And lets her dog piss in the house. Also, for the record, Crypto is supposed to be intelligent enough to know that he shouldn't do this. But James Gunn loves his dog, which is what he used to model this creature.
You managed to get most of it on the paper this time.
How are you hungover under a yellow sun? You stupid bitch. I'm sorry, you stupid bitch was directed at James Gunn.
Good job, buddy.
So this is going to be weird. It's James Gunn just making another Guardians of the Galaxy movie. This is your new Star-Lord. Or Star-Lady, I suppose. Yeah. Or, what would have happened if Gamora had been raised by a single mother instead of a single father, I suppose. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Cars are out. Hereby declare that 23 will be the best year yet.
23 years old and acting like your average Western whore. What did James Gunn mean by this? Oh, for the record, there's no way I'm ever watching this movie. I'll watch the trailer once. I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I'll watch the whole thing in its entirety now, and that will be the only time I ever do.
Let's be honest, babe, it's not a very high bar to clear.
Craig Gillespie directed this. Good job. It's still James Gunn's DCU, so, yeah.
I didn't know any of you were still alive. What was it like to lose everything in a day?
Who the hell is the other girl boss? Why do I have a feeling she's the actual hero?
Krypton didn't die in a day. The gods are not that kind.
Terrible CGI in that space scene, by the way. The moment she moved her head, her entire head of hair should have moved all at once. There's no resistance in space.
Okay, this does not look like this is gonna end well. For you guys.
Really? So, we get to watch her brutalize a bunch of weaker individuals? Yeah, that's the sort of thing a superhero does.
Do others on your planet have power?
Another question. How the fuck did you get that on the plane? Because that looks like a standard plane.
Do others on your...
Okay, maybe it's not looking at it again. But, yeah.
planet have powers like you?
No, it's a pretty small group of two.
Are you going to kill the dog to try and give us the feels, Jimmy?
What Superman meant.
He sees the good in
Nice visual.
everyone. And I see the truth.
What the fuck was that supposed to be?
And I see the truth.
That's not at all how physics would work. Either those explosions should be in slow motion, or that mace, flail, whatever the hell she's concocted there, should be moving a lot faster. Yeah. Sorry, but even in a superhero movie, physics matter. It's kind of important to the suspension of disbelief. Also, is there a reason you're using the Kingdom Come Superman symbol? With white droplets all over the place? Is this Kingdom Come? Or are you trying to say something about Supergirl? Yeah. No. Nope. Won't be watching that. That just looks like even more of a desecration of the Superman mythos than Superman was. And if you want to know how I felt about that, well, I did a review, and you can find that on YouTube, Rumble, probably X as well. Yeah. Okay, so, speaking of suspension of disbelief, Neil, what the fuck are you doing? If Batman wants so badly to be a bat, he might be more intriguing if, like Marvel's Daredevil, he were also blind, like a bat. Yeah. Many people think bats are blind, but in fact they can see almost as well as humans. However, at night their ears are more important than their eyes. They use a special sonar system called echolocation, meaning they find things using echoes. Yeah. Remember, kids, astrophysicists are not fucking zoologists, and we do them no favors by letting them pretend they are. Get back in your lane, Neil. Okay, it's bad enough you took Pluto away from us. No, I'm kidding. The whole Pluto planet thing, I understand that. You clearly don't understand, well, this. You're in the wrong wheelhouse, brother. Get back in your lane. And, yeah, we'll end on a meme for this video. So how do I convince my capitalist friend that communism isn't bad? Of course, the first response is, our capitalist friend. To which Veginator says, yes, of course, my bad. To which they are promptly reminded, our bad. Yeah, who says leftists can't be funny? Okay, so, thank you all very much. This is going to be the end of the recorded section. So this is technically the end of the absolute state of things, and I'll be switching over to play about an hour of Skyrim. So I will remain live. I will be in chat. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to pop in and say hello, by all means do so. I'll be switching microphones to the headset shortly when I get this thing sorted out. And in the meantime, if you'd like to support what I do, and I would deeply appreciate your support, you can go over to my Ko-fi, however you wish to pronounce it. Apparently it's supposed to be pronounced coffee, but I like Ko-fi, because, well, there's a hyphen, and I know how lo-fi is spelled. Yeah. In any event, folks, I hope you're doing well. I hope you continue to do well. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Good night.